Fireball, da 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 da. Okay, that joke is stupid. Fireball is such a banger of a design. It's iconic, it's memeable, and it's a spell that unites D&D enjoyers and Magic players around the world. Fireball is a sorcery that costs X and a red mana. When you cast Fireball, it does X damage divided evenly, rounded down among any number of targets. You have to pay 1 for each target beyond the first. My only real complaint about Fireball is that it was originally a common, and it's a pretty complicated card for a common. It's not that the card is that hard to understand, but the math is fairly intensive for a common. Still, it's a cool as hell card, and it's also a pretty powerful card in the right circumstances. It's fairly versatile since you can remove a bunch of creatures with it, you can remove a few creatures with it, you can remove a big creature with it, or just end the game with it. It's also really interesting design space, if you think about it. It's kind of wild they created variable mana costs in the very first set. That's really cool if you ask me. And I guess maybe it's not all that strange, because Richard Garfield, the guy who designed the game, had a PhD in mathematics. It's still very cool. And I guess I should mention the first ever combo that got popular. Fireball was part of a potential turn 1 win condition, including Channel. So it's not too hard to figure out how this works. If your opening hand was Black Lotus, Channel, Fireball, and like a Mountain or Mox Ruby, then you could win on your first turn. Play out the red source and the Black Lotus, crack the Lotus for 3 green mana, cast the Channel using 2 of the green mana, then pay 19 life to add 19 generic mana to your mana pool, then use the red source for the Fireball and the single green mana you have left with the other 19 generic mana, and hit your opponent in the face for 20. Fun times indeed. That's where Channel Fireball got their name. How cool is that? Anyway, I love Fireball. I think it's a fun design, and it's really cool that this came out so early in Magic's history. And you can tell it's really a fundamental design for Magic's game engine for 2 main reasons. First off, they have reprinted it quite a few times. And reason number 2 is kind of the same, but they keep making quasi-functional reprints of the card. Although, to be fair, they have been doing that since Alpha. See Disintegrate, the different Fireball. A design space so nice, they did it twice, baby. There is a functional difference between these 2 cards, of course, but the differences definitely lie in what I would call niche situations. Oh, and you know what? Earthquake also existed in Alpha, which is different, but it is also a red X spell that is kind of the same, but different. Anyway, here's a list of every card I could think of or be bothered to look up that is just Fireball in a trench coat. Banefire, Blaze, Bonfire of the Damned, Burn from Within, Conflagrate, Crater's Claws, Demon Fire, Devil's Play, Disintegrate, Dwarven Catapult, kind of, Fall of the Titans, Fear, Fire, Foes, Flame Discharge, Flaming Gambit, Get to Fire, Heat Ray, Hell to Pay, Illuminate, not to be confused with Illumination, Karvek's Torch, Lava Burst, Light Up the Night, Mishra's Command, kind of, Red Sun's Zenith, Rock Slide, Rolling Earthquake, kind of, Stone Splitter Bolt, Street Spasm, Subterranean Tremors, kind of, Sudden Demise, kind of, Torch Breath. Also, shout out to Firestorm for being kind of similar, Draconic Debut for being an alchemy card, and Detonate for seeming like a fireball in a trench coat, but mostly being artifact removal that's also kind of Fireball in a trench coat. It's really good if you have 10 mana and they have a Colossus of Sardia and 9 life. Fireball and stuff that's like Fireball, but it's different because of the set it's in, is really iconic, and the play pattern around cards like this is pretty interesting, so it's not surprising to see them reuse an idea that's so fantastic. I don't know that I really have too much else to say about the card, though. It's a common win condition for infinite or close enough to infinite mana generators, but it's solid as a high end in some limited environments as well, and it's just a really cool card in my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinions on it down in the comments, but that's really all I have to say about Fireball. So before we go about our days, let's take a moment to appreciate the various artworks for this card. The original art is super iconic in my opinion. It's a ball of fire, exactly as advertised. The original is illustrated by Mark Teaton, and his work is always fantastic. I commonly see him being mentioned as one of people's favorite artists, at least from the earlier sets, and he's up there on my list as well. Overall, this art is just fantastic. In fact, it's so fantastic that they used this art for a long time. They used this art up until Darksteel, at least in normal releases. But before we get to that one, let's talk about the Arena League 1996 artwork for Fireball. This was illustrated by Jock, and it's pretty sweet in its own way. I like this art, and the style of it. Jock only ever did 5 pieces of art for Magic, which is a bit of a shame. I kind of really dig the style. But besides that exception, Mark Teaton's work would be used for every release until Darksteel, where we would get this piece by Dave Dorman. This is a really fantastic piece. If you've watched me a decent amount, you probably know by now that I prefer the old art and the heavy styling of it. But this piece is fantastic as well. Very talented artist, and I like this piece specifically because you can see the devastation it caused, but also the scaling is much easier to work out. Overall, this is a fantastic piece. And WotC uses this piece a lot, using this art for almost everything up until the list. Hell, they even used the same art on 2 different frames in 2 different iterations of the list, which is funny as hell to me. However, we did kind of blast past Mark Teaton's second illustration for Fireball. In 2005, this full art version was released, and it's absolutely wonderful. Still has his classic style, but with better detailing and a better sense of scale. This is my favorite art for Fireball. It's just fantastic. But we're almost done talking about the arts. We only have 2 more to go. Both of these arts are from Commander Legends, Battle for Baldur's Gate. This one was illustrated by Xavier Ribeiro, and it's solid. It's well illustrated, but you probably know how I feel about well-detailed Magic art and Magic's current, what I would say, sterilized styling. It's really good art, it's just not my favorite. That being said, the art tells a really cool story, so I do appreciate it. The next one is really interesting though, and I sort of have mixed feelings about it. This was illustrated by Justine Jones, and the art is fantastic. Justine has done some really interesting pieces. The line work is fantastic, and the contrast is sharp and snappy. It's also really fucking funny. I really like this art, but I'm not sure how I feel about the frame. I definitely don't hate it, but I don't feel like I'm looking at a Magic card. I don't know. I really like the concept of this frame style, but there's something about it that doesn't sit perfect with me for some reason. Which is weird because I do think it's actually more flavorful than like common Magic frames. Since the kind of whole point of the game is that you're a wizard casting spells out of your library of spellbooks. So the parchment look is really cool and flavorful, but I don't know, it sits with me weird. Still, the art is fantastic. I really love it. That being said, Mark Teaton's second approach to the art is still my favorite. But that's really all I have to say on Fireball, I guess. What do you think of Fireball? Do you have a favorite art? Are you tired of seeing a different reinvention of Fireball every fucking set? Or do you really enjoy that? Do you hate red cards and therefore Fireball? let me know what you think in the comments, if you want to. But if you're interested in discussing things with me more, or with other people that enjoy my content, I do have a Discord server, it's linked in the description. Otherwise, you can like the video if you liked it, I would appreciate that. You can also subscribe if you give a shit, but either way, I hope you have a magical day. Thank you for watching.